Hi there, this is Nikki from the Professor Knits podcast, coming to you from Knoxville in East Tennessee. It is spring break here, and I have to tell ya, it's kind of nice to be around campus with no students anywhere to be seen, and just the odd faculty member poking around like me. Well, really, it's my kids have spring break too, so this was the only place I could come to get some peace and quiet to do a podcast for you today. So yes, it's mid-March, it's spring break. My mom is here from Canada for 3 weeks, and we had all these big plans to do all sorts of stuff, helping my husband renovate the house and washing windows and cleaning upholstery that needs to be cleaned. And she's already been here for a week, and lo and behold, everybody in the house came down with some sort of respiratory infection. So we're all just recovering. So if I sound a little weird, that's what it is. I'm just getting over this respiratory infection. Isn't that always the way when you finally have a holiday? And it's a staycation. We're not going anywhere. But of course, we all get sick. I think my son is the only one who isn't sick right now. So he's the lucky one. But everybody else got sick. But it's not even halfway through spring break yet. So the fact that we're all sort of on the mend now means that we'll get a couple of days where we can do some work on the house. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's been a while since my last podcast. I'm not going to apologize. I'm just really busy, and it's tough keeping all the balls in the air, I do have to say. But I did have an exciting event happened not too long ago, about 6 weeks ago actually. I met Mr. Stephen West, and I had all these huge plans to like vlog about it and interview him when I got there, because it was at Black Mountain Yarn Shop in North Carolina, and I had all these plans, and I did, you know what they say, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and I did vlog quite a bit, and I chickened out when I got there. I wasn't able to work up the nerve to interview him, and he was swamped by adoring fans. But in my vlog on the way there while I'm driving, I confessed a few things about Mr. Stephen West that I used to think about him. So this is already 6 weeks ago that this happened. So I was supposed to post the videos immediately after I got back, but of course I didn't. So I'll include just a 10 or 15 minute clip of my travels to go meet Mr. Stephen West at the end of this video. So make sure you stay and watch that and see what I used to think about Stephen West. But it was very exciting. And I also include, you know, what I bought at the yarn store and just my overall experiences. But like I said, that's at the end of this clip. So what I'll do now is jump into the knitting and, in one instance, the crocheting. So I'm going to start with my works in progress. And both of my works in progress, I've got two to show you today. They're both for my kids. Both of them are starting to get really interested in my knitting. And my son asked me to knit for him a Minion hat. So I let him go on Ravelry. He's 6, and he just thinks the Minions are the best thing ever, right? Despicable Me is like the best thing ever. So I let him go on Ravelry to pick one out, and of course he picks the one purple-inspired Minion hat, because there's this video game called Minion Rush, and I don't know, he plays it, but at some point if you get something, you turn into a purple minion, and you go all crazy, and he just loves it. It's very silly, and so he wanted a purple Minion monster hat. So the one pattern on Ravelry that was the purple monster Minion hat is a crochet. Now, I don't mind crocheting. I love a good crochet as much as the next person. See, I'll talk about the pattern and the yarn in just a second. I would rather be knitting. And it's not because I don't enjoy crocheting. I do enjoy it, but I find that when I knit, I really like to stop and admire my work as I go and look at my stitches and the stitch definition and just kind of feel it. And I don't get that satisfaction from crocheting the way I do from knitting. So I kind of wish I was knitting it, but it's a great pattern. It's, like I said, the Minion Purple Monster hat by Connie Hughes, and I'll put a picture of it around here so you can see what it's going to look like eventually. It's quite cute. The goggles are removable. And I've got the hat done, and I still have to do some trimming around here. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the stitches because I just follow YouTube videos, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a great crocheter, but I'm using a, oh my goodness, my glasses aren't on. H or I, I'm not, 5.5 millimeter hook, sorry, US I think, hook, to crochet it. And I'm using my own yarn that I dyed. This was the perfect lilac lavender color that I just happened to have. And this is a fingering weight, 25% nylon, 75% fingering weight. And it's one of the very first skeins of yarn I ever dyed, going back a couple years now. And never sold it at any of the fiber festivals or my online shop or anything like that, which is fine. It was a one of a kind, just the one skein. I thought, well, it's time to use it. So I am holding it double to get a worsted weight. And I really hummed and hawed for a long time about whether or not I was going to go and pick up some acrylic yarn to do this, or if I was going to use my good yarn. Simply because, you know, this is for a kid who's going to play with it. It's going to end up probably on the floor of the car more times than on his head. It's going to get dirty. But I just, you know, hanging out in Joann's and different craft stores and trying to find the right shade of purple, I couldn't do it. If it was a baby blanket for somebody else, yes, but since I'm going to be the one in charge of washing this thing, since I'm going to be the one in charge of washing this thing, I think I'm going to go with a nice wool yarn, because it matters to me when I'm working with the fiber. So the rest of the colors, there's going to be some black, some white, and some gray. I'm just going to be using scraps of old projects that I have those colors in. I don't think I have a good gray that I can use, but again, I'll use like a light lavender that I know I have. He's not going to be too fussy about it, and then that way I'm not, I just heard a door slam, somebody else is here. I'm not going to worry too much about it because he's just going to be so excited that it's done. Like, he's not fussy. So that's the first work in progress that I have. My other one, well, actually there's two in here in my cute little foxy, skiing foxy, I think the medicine's starting to go to my head, project bag that I bought from our friend Rachel over at Treehouse Knits. Yeah, I've got two in here for my daughter. One is not much to show. It's the very beginning of leg warmers, the traveling leg warmer pattern. Once it's a little further along, I'll talk more about it. But she's just started taking gymnastics, and she's 3. She just turned 3, and she's excellent. Like, she's already been asked to join a pre-team team because she's too young to compete because she's only 3, but apparently they start competing when they're 4, and she's already been asked to start training for that team, sort of as a feeder team. I can't believe how good she is, which is weird because I was never good at anything like that. I'm not very graceful. I played hockey growing up and ringette, not something like that. So I'm making her all sorts of leg warmers to match all of her leotards. A friend of mine has 2 girls in gymnastics, and she gave me something like 10 leotards in all sorts of cute different colors for Amadea. And so I'm knitting her matching leg warmers for all of them. I know, I'm going to be a dance mom, aren't I? It's going to be insane. I'm going to be that mom. Anywho, she is getting very interested, seeing that I'm knitting her all of these leg warmers. She is very interested in my knitting recently, and she asked me to knit her a shirt or a sweater. So I let her pick on Ravelry, and the first thing she saw that she wanted was the Sesay, I think I'm saying that right, I'm not too sure. The Sesay tunic by Signe Stromgard. Either Norwegian, maybe Swedish. No, not with that O with the line through it. That's definitely Norwegian. Signe Stromgard, which is a new to me designer. I've never seen her before, that I'm aware of anyway. And she's got a couple of books out called Knits for Little Scamps, and this one was in volume 2. And oh my day, I just loved it. And so I bought the entire book. I think you had to. I don't think you can buy individual patterns, but it's a really good deal. For like €12, you get 9 or 10, maybe even more patterns. And so I'm knitting it for Amadea, and I'm knitting it for her in this soft pink. It's my own yarn, Medusa yarn, in my just pink, very creative, pink colorway in my DK weight. So it's 100% superwash merino, and it's a really nice, soft yarn, great to work with, very affordable, not expensive at all, like $22 a skein for generous to almost 250 yards. And I love it. It's got these little like tree pattern motif, and Amadea just adores it and cannot wait for me to finish it. So I'm going to try to finish it. This is only about 2 days worth. That's one thing about knitting with a DK or a worsted weight, is it goes so much faster. And I'm knitting it on a size 5 needle rather than 6, what it calls for. I got gauge going down a size. And it's knit in the round, starting at the bottom, and it's very easy pattern to remember and to memorize. Like, I only need to refer to the chart very rarely, only when there's a row change, a pattern change in the rows. And that doesn't happen all that often because it's so repetitive. So I'm really enjoying it. I suspect I'll have it finished before the end of spring break, which is kind of nice because it's still kind of chilly here. We had some nice weather for a while, and recently it's been in the 40s and 50s again. Fahrenheit, for my Canadian viewers. That's chilly for East Tennessee in March. Usually I'm getting my potted plants in sometimes this late, or this early. So it's been a little chilly, and so she could definitely wear this for a couple weeks if I get it done this week. And then I'm going to knit another, I think it's the tulle tunic, but I'm going to knit that one. It's super cute. I'm going to knit that one, I think, in a cotton, or 50% cotton, 50% wool, so she can wear it in the summer. And it's another cute one. Just these adorable tunics that look so cute on little girls. Yeah, I'm kind of getting more and more into knitting for my kids, which is very weird because I don't like knitting for anybody but me. Honest, right? I think we all agree that most of us are like that. But the instant gratification of a small project being done fairly quickly, and especially when they're asking for it. If they weren't asking for it, I wouldn't be doing it. But yeah, if my babies want me to knit for them, of course I'll knit for them. I'm going to take a sip of my drink. All right. Now, I think it's been, let's say, in the last year, like 24 months, or the medicine head, 12 months, I think I've done like 2, maybe 3 podcasts. So all of the finished objects I have, I'm not going to sit in one episode and show them to you. I'll just show you bits and pieces here and there. And a lot of them were shawls that I was knitting for fiber festivals to show off my own yarn, because I did a lot of fiber festivals last year. I'm only doing SAF this year. I've got too many balls up in the air with my job and my scholarship and my kids and yarning and all that. So I'm easing up on the fiber festivals this year, and I hope to get back into them next year. But anyways, what I'll do is show them a little bit here and there over my next few episodes. But today I'll show you my 3 of not my most recent, but the ones that I've enjoyed finishing the most. And the first is a year old. It was a shawl that I knit for Helen Stewart's Impressionist MKAL, which I think was last March. Now, I finished it last spring. I didn't just finish it. I'll show you, and I'll talk about it more in just a second. But it was my first mystery knit along. I think it might have been my first Helen Stewart. I don't know for sure. I've knit several of hers since then. It might have been first MKAL, first Helen Stewart, and my first time knitting with wool and vine yarn. And I have to tell you, this was an amazing shawl. If you haven't knit it yet, it's the Impressionist knit along, mystery knit along from last year from Helen Stewart. We all know Helen Stewart and her Shawl Society, and she's Hell's Bells, I think, on Ravelry. It was just such a treat to knit. It turned out so beautifully, and I knit this, and I still haven't sewn in all of the ends, as you can see, because as soon as it was done, I started showing it at shows up in my booth to show off the pattern and the yarn, even though part of it is my yarn, and I was very honest about that to people who were asking about it. But it drew so many people into my booth, including people who had knit this, but had knit it at a different gauge or used different colors, and were just like, what is that? And when I told them, they're like, I knitted that and mine doesn't look like that. So it's a combination of, just yarn choice and needle size and blocking. One woman, I wish I remembered her name. She was amazing. Her and her friend, I think it was her husband, and their dog kept coming into my booth and talking, and I just adored chatting with them. And she had knit it, but she had knit it, I think, in a different weight yarn on a different size needle, and she didn't block it. And she said it looked like a completely, or she didn't block it that much, and she said it was like a completely different shawl. Knitting is so amazing that happens. Okay, so Helen Stewart, Impressionist knit along from last year, from March 2018. The yarn is all fingering weight singles. The very light mauve that you see in it, as well as the creamy color that has specks of brown and specks of mauve in it. Those are singles by Wool and Vine Yarn. One of them is on her, I think, is she the one that has Glitz or Glam? It has the stellina in it for her Wool and Vine number 9, her mauve colorway. And then the other one was just a skinny single, 100% wool. It didn't have any stellina in it. And I think it was called Mooseberries. It was a one of a kind. It was one of those ones where I just, when I was shopping, I think I had talked about this in an earlier episode, I was so stressed out because I didn't want to get cart jacked, and it's so hard to get her yarn because her shop updates sell out. So I had grabbed the mauve, her Wool and Vine number 9, and just a mystery one of a kind for her to match up, and she did a gorgeous job matching the two. So those two are from Kristen over at Wool and Vine Yarns. And then the dark mauve right here, which is featured throughout and is fringed at the end, that's my own mauve colorway. And I go back and forth between just calling it, no, this is Aphrodite. It's a mauve, but I call it Aphrodite. And I just love, love, love this shawl. Again, I haven't worn it that much because it's been saved for displaying in shows, so in my show suitcase. But I think that since I'm not doing any shows this year until SAF this fall, I'm gonna wear it this spring, and I just know I'll get tons of compliments. So there was just something about the color combination of the yarn and the pattern and the way I had it displayed in my booth. It just, people flocked to it. And I can only claim the one little bit of yarn as being credited for it, my yarn. The rest is Wool and Vine and Helen Stewart and their talents. So loved it. Loved knitting it. Love showing it off. Love talking about it. Oh, somebody's there, back there lurking. Oh, it's our facilities guy. I'm kind of embarrassed. What if he sees me doing this? Oh, well. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you, actually, it might have been the cleaners. I don't know. The next thing I'm going to show you is my first finished garment for 2019. And it is the Humulus garment by Isabel Kraemer. A lot of people have knitted this sweater, and I have to say, oh my goodness, Isabel Kraemer, her designs are amazing. Amazing. Everything fits so well. Now this one is fresh off the needles, so there's still some things that need to be sewn in, and it still needs to be blocked. Although, to be completely honest with you, I could wear it as is. But here we go. It's the Humulus sweater by Isabel Kraemer, and it's a very easy knit in the round raglan. Well, it's not raglan. It's a yoke sweater, knit in the round, seamless, just your typical construction, except of course her amazing short row technology that makes the fit amazing every time, and the way she shapes it. There's no shaping in the waist, which I kind of was nervous about, because I like to have a bit of waist shaping, but it turned out just fine. I didn't add any. The yarn was a dream to work with. This is the Sand Dollar colorway by Shalimar Yarns, which is one of my favorite yarn companies. And it's the Equus base, so it's 100% superwash merino. And let me tell you, this is the plumpest, roundest yarn I have ever knitted with. But it is almost too nice with the stitch definition, because look, you can really see right here and right there my decreases. I'm sure that'll come out with some blocking, but the stitch definition in this yarn is so amazing. It's almost too good. But like I said, once I wash and block it, I'm sure that won't be as obvious. So Sand Dollar, 100% superwash merino, worsted weight. And then the contrast color is my own yarn, my own worsted weight base in my series colorway, named after the Greek goddess of agriculture, a very popular colorway of mine. If you haven't knit an Isabel Kraemer sweater yet, don't wait. Don't wait. And knit a size smaller than you think. I always knit based on my measurements, and they're always very roomy. But I'm very happy with this one. I feel so weird. It's not like because you can probably hear me. Oh, well. You know what they say, right? At any workplace, janitors and facilities managers, I shouldn't say janitors, cleaners, the people who do, a very important job, facility managers, they know everything that's going on, right? We have no secrets. They know everything. Now they know I'm a podcaster. Okay, so my last finished object is also a plug for my own hand-dyed yarn. And it is a pair of socks that I dyed on my first ever attempt at, I'm losing my voice, at self-striping yarn. I'd say I did a pretty good job for a first go, right? I call this my Skittles base, or my Skittles colorway. I have just 3 or 4 skeins of it left in my shop, because it was very popular at shows. But it's got a really nice yellow, pink, green, and blue, and then I use the same green for contrasting heels and toes. And it's just a vanilla sock with a traditional heel flap and gusset that I really enjoyed dyeing up. And this is on my what I call the Olympians base where it's my MCN, 80-10-10, 80% superwash merino, 10% nylon, 10% cashmere. And that's the best base to do a pair of socks on because it's just so plump and the stitch definition is so nice and it's so soft to work with. And I do have a few skeins left at medusayarn.com in the Skittles colorway. And I think I'll keep trying new self-striping sock yarn because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot more work. There's a reason why people who dye it up the price because it's a lot of more work. But it's really fun, and there seems to be like this real control over the result that I really enjoy. So, speaking of Medusa yarn, it's spring, and like I mentioned, I'm not going to be doing any shows this spring or summer. So I'm having a huge spring clearance sale in my online shop at medusayarn.com. I don't have everything up there. I'll keep uploading more and more yarn, but everything is 20% off. And within the US, if you spend $50 or more, it's free shipping. Outside of the US, $100 or more, free shipping. So hop on over to medusayarn.com if you haven't done so already. I am leaving Etsy permanently. So if you have been a customer of mine in the past at Etsy, you won't find anything there. I think you'll still see my shop there, but it'll be empty. So hop on over to medusayarn.com and get the goodies while they're still there. I think that'll be it for today. I hope you're all enjoying your spring and you're having a lot of time to knit if it's your spring break as well, if you've got kiddos or if you're a teacher or anything like that, or if spring break affects you in any way whatsoever. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and stick around to watch my confessions about Stephen West. Take care.
Good morning, everybody. This is Nikki from the Professor Knits podcast, and maybe I will talk a little bit before I start to drive. I'm very excited today because it's February 2nd, Saturday, and I'm setting off to Black Mountain, North Carolina, to the Black Mountain Yarn Shop to meet Mr. Stephen West. I'm very excited about this. I will admit, I kind of didn't want to go this morning when I woke up because I do have a wee bit of a hangover. We went to a hockey game last night, our family did. And my husband and I and my two kids, we had a great time, and I'm Canadian, and I love a good hockey game. And it was the Knoxville Ice Bears, and we had a great time, and Mommy had 2 beers. That's all it takes nowadays. Well, those are huge beer that they serve at these athletic events. So anyways, I have a little bit of a hangover, but it's not going to keep me from going to meet Mr. Stephen West. So I'm going to start driving and chat about it along the way. I'm going to vlog about it. And I have no idea. I've never videotaped in my car before. Woo! So I don't know what I'm doing. I think I should probably stop before I drive any further. I'm still in my driveway. And find a better place to put the phone, to put the camera, because this isn't going to work. I have it on the steering wheel. How stupid am I? I'll be back. All right. I think I got it figured out. I got this jobby thingy, which is like a little tripod that looks like a big spider that you can maneuver around to put anywhere you want. This is my first time using it. I've had it for like 6 months, but I haven't used it. So, I just fueled up, got gas for the car, gas for me. I think the camera's gonna be okay. I don't know. Probably not. So if we fall and I lose you, okay, here we go. So I'll tell you my Stephen West confessions. I have some confessions. So I'm just going to be honest. The first time I ever saw a Stephen West image for knitting was on Ravelry. And it was the picture, I guess this is going back like 8 or 9 years ago. That picture of him wrapped up in, I think it's the Exploration Station shawl, and he's got really white, I think his head is bald, and he's got really white makeup on. When I saw that image, I shut my computer down because I thought I had stumbled across like some weird alternate knitting website, and I was like, what is this? Like, is this like, I thought it was Uncle Fester from the Addams Family dressed up making fun of knitters or something. I don't know. It was just weird, and I found it to be a very jarring image. I didn't like it at all. And that was my first exposure to Stephen West. Because let's face it, until Ravelry, I didn't know a lot of designers. I just knit whatever. I didn't knit a whole lot of garments, and I didn't know anybody's names. I would just knit from a company. Anyways, so I didn't think anything of it, and I just kind of avoided it. And then as I started to watch podcasts before I started my own, so, okay, I got creeped out by the Uncle Fester Exploration Station shawl picture. Then I started watching podcasts and everybody talking about Stephen West. And I went and I checked out his Ravelry page. And I was like, are we serious? Like, this guy's just making fun of knitters at this point. Like, I saw him with his building blocks, weird like head stuff and the pants, and using like clashing crazy yarn. And I was like, really, we're giving this man attention for making fun of us serious knitters? And I was just like, forget it. Like, I'm never, like, this is ridiculous. I was insulted by his Ravelry page, thinking that he was making fun of us all. But then I kept watching podcasts, and I think it was maybe Christy Glass Knits when she interviewed him, and I can't remember anymore, but he just seemed like a really nice guy and serious and legitimate, and people were talking about what a great designer he was. So about 3 months ago, I started to take him seriously. A long time ago, not 3 months ago, and I recognized, okay, better knitters than me love this guy, so clearly he's legit. And then about 3 months ago, I decided to knit his Marled Magic sweater because I saw a woman wearing it at SAF, when I was vending at SAF, and it was gorgeous, and she had chosen these beautiful greens, and I was like, what is that sweater? And she said, oh, it's Stephen West's Marled Magic. And I was like, oh, I guess maybe I'll give it a try, because you don't have to use weird colors and clashy colors. So I started knitting it, but because I was very skeptical, I'm kind of making it like I'm using scraps, because you have to hold two pieces of yarn together, fingering and lace is what I'm doing. And I was so skeptical, I didn't want to use up my good yarn kind of thing. So I have been just using scrap yarn, and I quite like it, and I get it now, right? He's just doing crazy colors because he's Stephen West, and look at him. I mean, he's a crazy, his aesthetic is like that. But the construction of the sweater is really interesting, and it keeps me wanting to do that. Like, you knit it in sections, in these geometric shapes, and then it all somehow comes together into a sweater. I'm not finished it yet. I didn't even bring it with me because it doesn't look like much at this point. But I get it. It's the construction that's really quite clever. And so I've become a bit of a Stephen West convert, even though I haven't completed a project yet. So that's my confessions about Stephen West. I thought he was making fun of us, but I didn't. I got there. I'm late to the party. I'm late to the Stephen West party. So now here I am, driving 2 hours, having never completed anything that I have knit of his, although I will complete this sweater. Driving 2 hours to be all fangirl and have him sign a book that I haven't even bought yet. So I hope he's selling the books that he's signing at this yarn shop. Yesterday was the meet and greet, but I couldn't go. We had plans, and I had to work in the morning. But hopefully he's got books that I can buy. Otherwise, I'll just have to buy some random book and have him sign that. I'm sure he's got a sense of humor about it. We'll see. So that's my Stephen West story. But let's see what's on the radio. I wish my knitting bestie was with me, Meredith. She couldn't make it. I'll get her a book and have Stephen West sign it. I don't know if she's ever knit a Stephen West pattern either. But she's an amazing knitter. She knows a good designer, and she thinks, I'm pretty sure she thinks he's a good designer. I don't know, we haven't really talked about him that much. We're more like Jennifer Steingass, Isabel, what's her name? I'm wearing her baldric. Isabel Kraemer. More of a classic look. Classic construction. More cowbell! Alright, I am in Black Mountain. You can hear the church bells behind me. And I am walking up to the yarn store. I don't see a line up out the door, so that's a good thing. See you inside.
Could do the hybrid knitting hat here.
Oh, okay.
Texture. And you can do it with just the Aran weight wool, but to make it extra fuzzy, you can put one mohair strand. One skein of each will make the hybrid knitting hat in your favorite color. So we have those accessories, and then when I was making this slumber shawl, I was thinking of my North Carolina.
I just got finished up in the yarn store at Black Mountain Round Yarn Shop and met Stephen West. He's a very nice man, very friendly, very generous with his time. It was chaotic in there. There was a lot of people packed into that little store, and there was a lot of yarn. It was delicious. I picked up some skeins. I got, can you even imagine these two together? One is from Garn Stories, Moonbird, and it's this beautiful dark plummy purple and limey green, not lime, more of like an olive green in it, and I just love that color combination. And then I matched it up with, and it's a fingering weight singles, 100% new wool, merino superwash, new wool. Expensive, $35 for a skein. But it's beautiful. And then this one is Swamp Bunny, locally dyed in Asheville, which is just like 5 miles from here, very close. And it is their Gatorland colorway, same thing, 100% superwash merino, single ply. So I've matched these two together. Although it's interesting, they go together less in the daylight than they did in the store, but I think it'll be fine. So I like that store has they've got so much hedgehog fiber, so much Garn Stories, Hugh Loco, Barnyard Knits. They have a whole wall of Brooklyn tweed yarns. I mean, that was just an amazing yarn store, I have to say. And what else? Oh, I did decide, I got Stephen West's book, and he signed it, and I picked one up for my knitting bestie Meredith so she couldn't come, and had him sign it for her as well. Got a picture taken, and I also decided I wasn't going to, because I can't stand, well, it's not that I can't stand, but when a yarn is overly hyped, I try to stay away from it, because I don't know, I'm not into hype yarn. Here I am traveling 2 hours to meet a man whose patterns I rarely knit. It's clearly very hypey. Am I all crooked? I don't know. And so, but I did end up picking up a skein of La Bien Aimée, because it was here at the yarn store as a special sort of pop-up show to go along with, I'm completely crooked, to go along with Stephen West's visit. So I picked up an Aran weight just to do a hat or something. I'm not gonna spend $35 a skein to do like 3 skeins to do a shawl. I can dye it myself. That sounds terrible, because this is beautiful yarn, and it's the Pêche Minion colorway, and it's got these beautiful soft pinks and purples and oranges. And I'm gonna knit probably the Hyber knitting hat from Stephen West's book, his Hyber knitting book. Yeah. Oh, and I won something. I won a door prize. A little container of wool. Well, not wool. Cotton. Fingering weight cotton. It's a changing yarn. It changes color as you go. And it was designed, or there's a pattern that was designed for it that I'll have to do. Oh, I see. I swear it looked like it was lace weight, but it's actually 4 strands creating a fingering weight yarn. Not really my colorways or material, but I'm happy I won. I usually never win anything. So I'll figure out something to do with it, I'm sure. So yeah, I had a great time. Now I'm gonna drive back to Knoxville. I miss my kids. It's Saturday. I don't like being away from them on a Saturday. So I'm gonna head back. Thanks for coming along on this adventure. Take care.